You're fine.
You sound like shit.
Yep. Yepers.
You made it. What, 2 weeks, 3 weeks in?
Yeah, you just had to start talking about it, man.
Yeah, I thought it was
Blame it
me.
all on you. All on you.
I'll take the full brunt.
I don't know what happened. It was like I had a sore throat last Saturday, and I didn't know why. I was like, I got a sore throat. Nothing else is wrong with me, but it's real weird. And I had smoked my pipe a lot on Friday night because I was gaming. So I just, figured I had overdone it. Sunday, throat kept going. Monday, throat kept going. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with me? Tuesday, snot. Just snot everywhere. And then I've just slowly gotten worse from there. And then today and yesterday was a nightmare. I almost canceled today.
Oh, wow.
Like, that's how not great I feel. But we're going to do it. And,
God damn it, one way or another.
I know. It's not going to be great because I'm in a terrible mood, obviously. And what we're going to talk about just pissed me off. So I'm in all sorts of pissy moods today.
That's great.
Just preparation ahead of time. We got some old school pissy Zach going on.
Oh, wonderful.
Time to get your fix. It's a horrible gaming podcast. It's not good, it's not great. Horrible gaming podcast. It's not even what you would call fair. It's really not that good. Horrible Gaming Podcast.
Yeah. Hello, my name is Zach Wright with Old Man Gaming. You, dear listener, have chosen for whatever reason to listen to another horrible gaming podcast, but I am not alone. With me is
Neil, aka Tiny Wizard.
And we're back. We're doing another show. Yes. The prophecy has come to be. Neil talked about it. And now I'm ill. It's wonderful. It's magical. I love my life. But what are we talking about today? We're going to be talking about a world gone mad in the wake of a terrible video game show. We're going to be talking about the developer direct that Xbox did this last Thursday. I'm just going to let you guys know. This is going to be classic horrible gaming material, Zach, right here.
Return to form.
This is going to be some old school, cranky, negative shit. If you out there have been like, I've been waiting for a good Zach rant, today's your day. Because I'm sick. I almost canceled. I'm not in the best mood. I hated that developer direct. I'm cranky as all shit. So this is your day. If you're a person who's like, I really enjoy the new direction of the show, maybe this isn't the episode. We'll come back next week with like a weird question or something. But never mind. Listen to us. We need people to listen to us. Before we get into it, though, we got to thank the people who make it possible. Of course, behind our ugly mugs is a custom graphic that was designed by Mr. Mark Bell. We thank him for that. And of course, the theme song for this show and all of the shows here at OMG is provided by the man who makes the music, my brother Nick Van Siders. We thank him for that. We'll be right back with Fan Interaction.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
All right, let's get into Fan Interaction before my voice fails us. Going in 3, 2, 1. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to our first segment, our most important segment, that is Fan Interaction. That's where we, the co-hosts, talk to you guys, the fans. We read out your comments everywhere we find them and remember to read them. So we're starting off with Jason. He just has day after tomorrow and a laughy face emoticon. Not really anything to add to that. I would put an angry face emoticon there, but it is what it is. Then Jason continues, I give myself what I affectionately call a lawnmower blade hack cut, since I just can't be bothered to care anymore about the hair. Yeah, I wrecked my head. I absolutely wrecked my head. It was some terrible stuff. But yeah, that's fair. Then we move on to William Hoon. Hi! Exclamation point. So, I really don't have much to add this week. On a personal note, I bought myself a used DS Lite with Etrian Odyssey, old school dungeon crawler. Had it years ago and sold it. I've been obsessed with it since then, and now, at long last, I can play it again, and it makes me very happy. By the way, I know emulation exists, but that dual screen feeling is hard to replicate. Thanks for the show. Hashtag hairdressing is a real job. Thank you, Will. Congratulations on your DS Lite purchase. I'm going to say this right now, man. I went out of the way to make my Dreamcast work. There is something about certain things in gaming, especially when they attach to you, that you just have to own the thing. Emulation doesn't work for you,
Yeah, I will tell you, to his point, emulation of DS games is not great.
Yeah.
Just because of how unique that layout is. But I will tell you also, there's some things, even like a port of a game, there's something lost in translation. Like I'd mentioned, I have been playing through the Sonic Origins collection right now, and they did a better job with bringing over like sounds, like the music and everything like that. The sounds are more authentic. They've managed to replicate that Sega Genesis sound, but there's also some weird side effects, like because of the whole Michael Jackson music thing. With Sonic 3, they put some terrible filler songs in there that just ruin the playthrough of levels. The back half of Sonic 3 is horrendous for that reason.
Ooh. Sonic is like, for me, Sonic is 50% music. So like it's hard. It would be hard to get past that for me.
It really was like it's jarring. It feels like it was like commissioned by some random person. Like, hey, go ahead, just make some Sonic sounds. Or even worse, I would almost put it on the level of they put Sonic music into an AI and said, generate some songs.
All right. So moving on, we have one final comment, and then we're going to have a quick fan interaction today, which is good because I'm going to get real ranty on the talking point. Philbilly330, bald is beautiful. That's what I tell myself and why I grow a beard, so it looks like my head migrated to my face.
There you go.
Look, I'm going to say this. Call me what you want. Phil, you look good bald, man. You look good.
Some people can pull it off.
You pull it
off.
off.
One of those people who can pull it off.
I don't think I would. I think I'd look like a half a broken condom. I don't think it would work for me at all. And but you pull it off, sir, especially with the beard. Rock it. All right. So that's it for fan reaction. Unless we got anything to add, we only had the 4. That was it. Nice and quick. It's fine. We'll get done and get me back to Pal World faster.
Yeah, let's go bitch about some stuff. Let's do that. We'll be right back to bitch about some stuff. Like I said, ladies and gentlemen, the topic is going to be Xbox's Developer Direct, or lack thereof, this Thursday, which apparently the world loved, other than me. So I'm going to be a dissenting opinion, I guess. We will be right back with that.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to our talking point today, and that would be Xbox and their Developer Direct. So they did a Developer Direct last year. It was really good. I think it was everything they needed for their games coming out. This is comparison one for one. You can compare this Direct to that Direct as in how they present it, how they showed it to the world, the whole weird computer screen aesthetic that they did in the first one. And the first one was very much engineered towards giving us specific dates for exclusives coming out. I don't know. Do you want me to just go? Because I don't know. Like it's up to you. Do you want to say something first? Because I'm gonna warn you. If I start talking, it's going to be a long time before you get to talk.
So what's really interesting, what I would say about this is it is presented in such a way, at least it was presented in such a way to me, that it didn't feel like focusing a spotlight on these individual games. It was more so like, it's hard to describe it, but it gave me more of a feel of, these are the games we're going to talk about to give you a show, so to speak, is what I felt from it. Because I had kind of briefly mentioned to you, because we did that thing where we start talking about it a little bit and then full on just stop because we're going to waste all the good bits. But like last year, the show, like you mentioned, was presented in a way to be like, hey, these are the games that are coming. Yep. Here's some dates. And oh, by the way, here's a surprise. But like, they kind of tried to do the same thing, but didn't give us any solid dates. And the surprise was just including information from a game that we already knew was coming in.
Yeah. This is exactly right. Last year, we had 5 games, and we had a surprise 6th one. The 6th one was Hi-Fi Rush. They basically said, available now, out of nowhere. Nobody had heard of it. All the other games, out of the 5 games, they gave 3 direct dates and 2 windows, right? This time around, same thing. 5 games, 1 surprise. However, here's the comparison. Last year, the surprise, complete game nobody had heard of, launching that day for you to play right away. This year, Visions of Mana is sometime going to come to Xbox when it comes out.
Eventually, one day.
Okay. With no actual release date. When they started that surprise, I was like, wow, are they going to surprise release a Visions of Mana onto Game Pass? That would be big. Nope. It's a window in the future. As far as the dates on this one, there was 1 concrete date, 1 concrete release date. Everything else we got was a window. I have so much more angry stuff to say about this. I don't want to get ahead of myself on certain things, because I know we're going to go through each of the games probably. But right off the bat, why bother if you're not going to give us dates that I don't believe at all? The other thing that I want to say, and this is just a big gripe I had because I spent an hour watching this fucking show. I am sick and tired. I don't know when this became the norm. This kind of show became the norm. But I am, first of all, sick and tired of you parading out game designer trolls in their weird outfits to tell us, and they don't want to be on camera, to awkwardly tell us on camera about features that exist in every fucking game across the board like it's a magical new thing that we've never seen before. When they started doing the Avowed trailer, I was excited because I wanted to see some new stuff about Avowed. Avowed looks interesting to me. What we got was bullshit. First of all, they parade a guy out right off the bat. He starts talking about combat like it's the second coming. All it was first-person medieval combat. The only feature he had in there that looks even remotely different is that you can quick change between loadouts of weapons during the combat. Whoop-de-fucking-do, man. I can quick change between weapons in any other fucking game out there that's first-person. It's called the Y button. Have you heard of it? You press it, and you pick a different weapon. That's what happens. This was nothing, and he just has to sit there and awkwardly, they paraded him out of the basement where they've got him chained up, working 70 hours a week on this game. They put him in a fucking casual hoodie with his weird ear gauges and made him tell us about this combat system like he doesn't know that this combat system is the same fucking combat system we've seen in every fucking game like this anywhere. And I'm not saying that's bad. I'm not saying that this is bad because of it. It's just I'm sick of this. They present everything like Jesus woke up, and it's not like that. the next thing they tell us about is dynamic choices in storytelling. Really? Dynamic choices in storytelling? Baldur's Gate 3? Mass Effect? Dragon's Age? We've had dynamic choices in storytelling since the beginning of time. They showed us this little clip of it, and it's like, who gives a shit? And I know it sounds like I'm talking about specifically Avowed here. Every fucking trailer was like this. It was like a parade of weirdos who don't want to be on camera coming out to try and convince us their game is some magical new game. Why? When did this start? How did this happen this way? And I'm just so sick of it. You're just making these people act like something is more than it is, and it's not. I am also really, really fucking sick to death of them showing us all their weird little hijinks in their fucking thing. Like, I don't need to see that you do your work from a hammock. I don't need to see you riding around on a scooter through the hallways. I want to see the game. What is this? Like, it's ridiculous. Or like Todd Howard running around in the background stealing stuff in the Indiana Jones thing. It's so frustrating, this hijinks bullshit. I don't want to see this. I don't want to know about this. Show me your fucking game. Show me what it is. Stop trying to convince me it's the new thing. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
There was no feature that any of these people talked about that even remotely sounded interesting, with the exception of the 4X game, which we'll get to. But that 4X game, the wording they used could be different, but I still didn't really see anything that might be different from other 4X games. So I'm just sick of this whole thing. This whole, like, pattern of how they do these is just garbage. It's just garbage. And don't get me wrong. I'm getting ranty right now. I can see in Neil's eyes, he's thinking about yelling out saltines. I don't care what you wear or how you look or how you dress. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that, like, why did it become the norm to force developers who do not know how to talk to a camera to come talk to a camera in weird outfits? It seems like every one of the shows are like this, and then they have to come out, and it's always like, oh, I will show you this new thing that we have. It is one. They never speak English. This new wonderful. The guy from Visions of Mana looked like he was straight up in the Yakuza. And anybody out there, I put it to you to tell me he does not look like he has killed or ordered deaths and will again. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that. It's just, why did this become the norm, that it has to come from the developers who don't have any business talking to a camera, and those poor guys, they're put in these outfits, they're put out there, and then they're like, you gotta make it sound like this is the best thing that's ever happened. And they're like, it's just another fucking open world game. What do you want from us, you know? I hate this. It was just such a big waste of time. Plus, I felt like we saw more of the developers in these shows than we did of the fucking games. I don't want to see this, okay? I want to see the game. I don't want to see this. I don't want... This would be like me being like, hey, I'm going to release a new show. And then it's just me. It's not a new show. It's just me. Like, I don't know. That's a bad analogy, but I'm off the rails a little bit. It's just the whole show and all of these, like, directs, these developer direct type things, it's become this norm in the last, like, 5 years where it's like, it has to be a developer. They have to be in a weird outfit. They have to be telling us about a game feature that's normal, but they've got to try and make it sound like it's not normal. And I don't understand where this came from or why this is somehow makes it more legitimate, but I'm sick of it. I'm really sick of it. We need to find a new way to do it. Just drop a trailer, move on. Drop a trailer, move on, you know?
Yeah, so I don't know, like, the problems that I had with the show were the individual games overall.
Well, and we can get into that too.
What they really chose to present.
It's fair.
Because that's the thing, is like I'd mentioned before, it was like what they felt like they needed to put something together. They had to show you something. So, I mean, I can't remember the order in which they went through everything.
I don't remember the order either. We can just talk about them as we talk about them.
So the first one that I think of, like Avowed. Avowed.
Yeah, they started with Avowed. I remember that.
Oh, they did. Yeah, they did
Yeah.
start with Avowed.
Yeah.
So Avowed is one of those that I feel like somewhere along the way may have changed what it was.
No.
I think. Because I feel like the initial trailer for Avowed, when they first showed it, their little sizzle reel thing that they did, was it 2-3 years ago at this point?
Yeah.
Made it feel more like an Elder Scrolls game in the way that it was presenting. This feels more like Fable in how they presented everything. I was expecting a more serious sort of thing. It's just Outer Worlds but medieval. Now, there's not necessarily anything wrong with that, I don't think.
I don't think so.
But it's not like that cooled me on the game a little bit. Because I was expecting something else entirely from what we were presented before. And that could just be me.
Well, I will say this. Outer Worlds medieval would be very similar to an Elder Scrolls. I mean, that's kind of what Outer Worlds was very similar to a Fallout, and Fallout is Elder Scrolls but post-apocalyptic. I would say that like a medieval Outer Worlds would be very similar to Elder Scrolls. My thing, I didn't feel that it was like tongue-in-cheek like Fable. What I didn't like about Avowed, and I don't know if it changed its development or whatever, because the last trailer we saw, not the first sizzle reel, but the last trailer we saw, I think it was last year, kind of was going in this direction. You got the companions, you've got the choices. It's a little bit more of a more refined kind of thing. My thing is that what they chose to show us was very run-of-the-mill, and you're trying to set the tone for the whole freaking show. And so you're bringing out Avowed, and I'm like, okay, let's see Avowed. You've been talking about this for a while. I would have been more wowed if they were like, did you see what we did with Outer Worlds? This is what we're going to do with Avowed. They didn't even do that. They didn't show you any, like, what are the cool things about Outer Worlds? The character creation was amazing in Outer Worlds. The character choice was amazing in Outer Worlds. They didn't really show us that. Even the moral-driven character choice, they showed just a snippet, which was a very run-of-the-mill, like, oh, you can give the stuff to this guy or this guy, you can trust this guy or this guy, and depending on who you trust, it's going to change something overall in the game. That's Mass Effect. That's old school, that's old school, you know? The combat was very run-of-the-mill, and the other thing that I really didn't like about this trailer is I didn't see any third-person stuff. Outer Worlds could be third-person or first-person. I don't like doing games like this, especially fantasy games, in first-person. I never played Skyrim in first-person. We only saw first-person footage from Avowed. Does that mean this is only a first-person game? Because that'd be a letdown, in my opinion. So I don't know. The only thing they really showed was this combat system, which I don't know if you felt differently. It looked like every other combat system that I've ever seen in a medieval action RPG.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't see anything different here. And then, other than the whole loadout switching, that's what they kept capitalizing on. But I could do that in just about anything. Like, unless they're talking about, like, full stat changes, which at that point, that's almost beyond the pale. And then they showed this, like, moral decision thing, which was, like I said, very run-of-the-mill. They didn't show us any, like, I would have much rather seen, if they had been, like what Outer Worlds was, and they were like, look, here's the character creator, and it's like Outer Worlds. Like, that would have gotten me way more psyched, you know? I felt like this was very, very run-of-the-mill and very, very safe. And this is one of the things that I'm talking about with the developers just sitting there trying to tell us it's the next best thing when it's not. Because it was just the developers telling us that this is the best thing ever. And I'm like, I've done this before. I've played this game before. And that's the thing that, like, bugged me a little bit. Is it going to be good? Maybe. I'm not going to say one way or the other. Will it be fun? Maybe. I'm not going to say one way or the other. But to me, it definitely looked like a Skyrim or something along those lines where I've just done it. I've done it before. There was nothing new here. is what I'm saying.
Yeah, it was also very, very tell don't show, which is like the antithesis of
Yeah.
everything that you want. Like they were talking about like that moral quandary that they presented. It was something like a dude who was like potentially a deserter with a group or something like that.
Right.
They straight up were like, you can choose to tell, you know, X, Y, and Z about something and see how they react and send them on their way. They could have very easily done if you choose to do this, this is what the result would be. But if you choose to do this, show the exact result of what that is.
Right.
I mean, you can sit there and say all day, every day, oh yeah, you can do this, you can do that, you can do that. I can sit here and tell you I'm a fucking millionaire. You know, I can tell you anything. But if it doesn't make it into the game in the end, you know, it doesn't mean anything.
Exactly. And I agree. They showed you this conversation and the possible outcomes of the conversation, but they didn't show you the results of any of that. You know, it was like this nothing conversation, and then it fast forwarded back to a girl sitting in a cubicle being like, depending on what you choose, it will change what happens. And it's like, well, show us what changes. Like, you can't wow us with somebody standing in a room in a turtleneck telling me what happened. You gotta wow me with the game, you know?
Yeah.
Which was a theme throughout this show. As I said, it was way more talking from developers than it was any trailers, which is why I do not understand why the world seems to think this show was one of the best shows ever. Like, at least IGN did. There was like 6 articles on IGN about like, this did everything. It nailed everything we needed to be. Indiana Jones was exactly what it was supposed to be. Ha! I disagree on many levels.
Let's just go to Indiana Jones.
Okay,
next.
I think Indiana Jones was second to last, but we can talk about it now. I don't care about the order.
So Indiana Jones, now I think that it's not gonna be as bad as it seems like you may anticipate it being overall. But I don't know what it is. I think I just hated the presentation of this.
The presentation was terrible.
The presentation of everything was not necessarily great, in that it was just fucking Todd Howard being like, you know what? I wanted to do this for a while. I just wanted to make an Indiana Jones game.
It's not even a studio he runs. It's like a studio in Bethesda. It's not even like Bethesda proper. Why the fuck are you in this trailer, dude? Does he just have it in contract that like everything that has Bethesda on it, his dumb fucking ass is just like, hi, I'm Todd Howard and I own all games.
There's little nuggets that they dropped in there that makes me kind of question in the end what they're doing with the game. One of the things that really grabbed me,
but go ahead.
One of the things that really, really grabbed me was they were talking about the puzzles. At one point they were saying, in all the Indiana Jones movies and everything, there's lots of these interesting puzzles. So puzzles are going to play a very important role in this game to make you feel like you're Indiana Jones. I'm like, okay, all right, cool. I can get down with that. And like 2 minutes later, they were like, yeah, so there's tons of puzzles, but a lot of them don't even have anything to do with anything. They're just like fun to see if you can figure them out. And it's like, okay, so you straight up just told me that there's aspects of this game that you have told me are important, but are not important enough to actually do anything. They may just make them to be like collectibles or whatever. I would love to see how it's going to turn out in the end. I love that this game is going to be canon, which I find that very interesting. It's between the second and third movies. So that's cool. But at the same time, some of the things that you have mentioned when we started talking a little bit about this, the platforming, I am very concerned with the platforming. Very concerned.
Yeah, so you're a little bit more warmer on this game than I am. First of all, I was very excited about this game. I grew up with Indiana Jones, and while the last 2 movies don't exist, in my opinion, I it was one of those movies that I had on a VHS that I had recorded on slow speed, and when I was sick, it was Indiana Jones got popped in, and I watched them back to back to back. This, to me, looked terrible. Aside from all the points that you pointed out, I thought that Tower Howard being there was stupid. I thought that there was a lot of mixed messaging going on. But I want to talk just about the trailer. The trailer, the actual gameplay footage. First of all, this is only first person. And while IGN apparently, has decided to bend over and just deliciously suck on Bethesda's words as if it was a cow udder, that's stupid. I don't want to do stealth in first person, and I certainly don't want to do melee combat in first person. It is not the most optimal way to do it. And I don't care what anybody says. It just isn't, even if you like that. Bali for you, I'm happy for you. It's not the most optimal way to do combat. To not have peripheral vision is not the best way to do melee and stealth. For God's sake, stealth. Not only that, this game didn't look good. I'm sorry. The whipping part looked terrible.
It did not look good.
Then,
I'm jumping right in on that. Oh my God. It looked like a last generation
It looked
game.
terrible. The puzzles that he was doing looked like something out of Myst. The whip, every time he used the whip, it was the exact same animation. Did you catch that? Like, it was like it just like whipped out from under the camera in the exact same way every time. The fighting looked silly, and they're like, you'll see the blood on the knuckles as you punch. And I'm like, I don't want to see the blood on the knuckles as a punch. I want to be able to see the guys that I'm fighting. Like, that's what I want to be able to see. I want to be able to see the guys that I'm trying to sneak around behind. I don't need this to be in first person. The platforming is a whole nother bag of shit. Because,
Bag of dicks.
Well, first of all, first person platforming is not fun.
No.
In my opinion. If you're a Mirror's Edge fan, you may be a sociopath, because I don't know how anybody could like that. It just motion sickness, the game. But
it's not even that. It's not good for actually targeting where you're going as somebody who's one of their favorite games is Metroid Prime games.
Right.
I can attest that it is not great.
Well, I tell you though, what's worse than that is what they said they're doing, which is every time you do a platforming section, it switches to third person. Are you kidding? So you're telling me I will jump in first person, whip out my whip to swing, and then it'll just herky jerk out of my body so that you can see me swing, then back into my body as I land? I'll just vomit now. Like, that's insane. I don't want that. Nobody wants that. Like, everything they were saying was terrible. And I have a tinfoil hat about this game right now. And there was another game that people were like, oh, it's definitely going to be third person also. And then when the trailers came out, they were like, we're making it first person, and because we want you to experience the game through the eyes of the character. Do you know what game that was, Neil?
It's Cyberpunk.
Yeah, it's fucking Cyberpunk, man. It's Cyberpunk. They were like, we want to... And you know what came out? You remember what came out after that released is that they did it so that they didn't have to... Yeah, they didn't have to render the character. That's why they did it. I feel like Indiana Jones is rushed. I feel like it's being pushed through because everybody's excited about it. And because it's being pushed through, they were like, well, we can't do rendering on third person and make it nice in this amount of time. We'll make it a first-person game. That's what I feel like's happening here. I think Indiana Jones, I'm going on record, I think Indiana Jones is going to have some nice cutscenes and be a terrible gameplay experience.
Yeah, I'm kind of feeling the same. I do wonder if this is going to be their big, hey guys, like, this is what Microsoft has for their first party, like... Because I feel like this show was supposed to be where we got something concrete about anything and be a reason to have an Xbox. Because, I mean, kind of segueing on to the next other game that I'm absolutely tired of hearing about. Senua's Saga, the Hellblade 2.
Well, hold on. Right before you go there, one last thing I want to say about Indiana. Xbox, stop rushing your shit out. How many times do you have to do this before you learn? Redfall, Starfield, every time you do this, you're like, we need a win. You push a game out, it sucks, and it gets you even closer to another loss. If you need a win, stop, take the time, make it a fucking win. You know? Mm-hmm. Okay, now continue.
So, yeah, with like Senua's Saga, like that was, I believe that was the only thing that had an actual date attached to it.
Yes, that was the only one. May 21st.
We'll see. Remember, this was also supposed to come out in, what was it, 2022, I believe it was.
Something like that. Maybe 23.
Because it got announced forever ago. We've seen it so many times. We've seen motion capture so many times. I mean, half of that trailer was talking about the first game.
Yeah.
Not this one. And just showing the behind the scenes production stuff with a little bit of flair of
and that music guy was crazy, right? Like he looked crazy. Yes, the music guy with his wide eyes, he's like, we all said, oh. I'm like, oh, that guy's frightening.
Yeah.
I have a hatred of this game for a completely different reason, if I might say so.
Oh, yeah.
I'm on record as I'm not going to play this game. The reason is I played Hellblade. I played Senua's Sacrifice, Hellblade, first one. That game is specifically made to allow people... It's one of the coolest forms of video game art I've ever played. And I'm going to explain why. Because that game... They went out, they talked to actual people about what it's like to have schizophrenia, okay? Mm-hmm. And then they took that, and then they took the 3D sound of the earphones, that kind of the haptic sounds, and they used that to make you experience visually, mentally, and audibly, whatever, what it's like to have schizophrenia, what kind of trouble it is, what kind of a struggle that is. For me, that was beautiful. I cried many times throughout the course of that game because it was a powerful game. It was truly something that it was a true example of what video games can be used to do, to really allow people to experience something that they can't possibly understand, which will give you more empathy toward that thing in the future. Schizophrenia, scary beyond all recognition, terrible stuff. This allows you to kind of understand that plight a little bit better, you know? Mm-hmm. Why are we making it into Star Wars? Why is there fucking second one? Doesn't that pull from the impact of such a beautiful, perfect game to make it some sort of weird trilogy? Like, the whole point of the first game is she's got this disease. She lives in medieval times where she can't get medication for it. And the whole thing is just a struggle against herself. There's just nobody even fucking there. What are we doing? Why are we adding character? Like, that was such a powerful, beautiful experience. Why in God's name would we do another one? I don't understand it. I feel like it just pulls from the experience and it pulls from the impact of the first one.
And sure enough, too, they were like, oh, we're working with the same exact doctor that we did last time for the same exact things. I mean, what other new insight is there? I don't know. Like, and that's the thing is you kind of hit the nail on the head with this one. It's such a unique thing. It gave you such... it presented something in such a way. In fact, if I remember correctly, it even won an award for... the Games for Change, I think it was.
Games for Impact.
Games for Impact. That's what it was. Yeah. Yes. To bringing the disease to light in such a way and doing so very smoothly. Like the first game was received very well from a double A basically situation. And of course, Microsoft big money go up. Number go up. Number 2, more, please.
Why would we do this? And this also brings me to another thing that I'm sick of fucking seeing in these shows. And I want to say this completely off topic. Microsoft, Ubisoft, Sony, all of you. It is not cool for people to run around in green balls. You showing me a guy running around in a soundstage with green balls on him with fucking a Nerf gun jumping around behind cardboard boxes does not make me excited for your game. It doesn't make me think that game is cool. There's nothing about that that's cool. They showed Senua's Sacrifice. That trailer was the biggest offender of that because they put the main actress in the mocap with the eye thing, so she's got the thing coming off of her and she's like creeping around a studio. Like, I'm like, come on, man, when did that happen in the last 5 years that somehow they were like, yeah, show them the people in the mocap, people think that's cool? Nobody think that's cool. That's why it was a joke in Mortal Kombat. It's not cool. All right, it's not cool.
So I mean, the last two games that they really showed here, I don't super have a real invested stake in these games. I was one way or another.
Well, there's Visions, which
the Mana games I never played, and I never had like a.
There's Ara. Wasn't there another one though?
What there was the Mana game, and then there was that whatever Civ, but not Civ.
So there's only the 5. There's only 5.
Yeah, there's only 5. Okay. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll say some stuff. First of all, I want to say something about Ara. Ara is the only game on this show that I was even remotely excited about. I'm a 4X guy. I like 4X games. Age of Wonders 4 is really cool. I like Civilization. I think these are really cool games. And some of the stuff they said in this game really excites me. It's just another one of those things that we got a lot of tell and no show. So there's a lot of people saying dynamic things to me that make me go, oh, that would be really cool if you did that in 4X because they haven't really done that before. But are you actually going to do that? So, like, I am very excited for that game, but at the same time, I'm a little bit worried about it. I do really love the idea of the simultaneous turn system that they've got going on in there. I think that'll be a lot of fun. There is a lot of waiting between turns in 4X when you play with other people, or even computer, for that matter. And then Visions of Mana was really strange to me because this was their big surprise. This was their big hi-fi rush moment where they're like, ooh, let's bring in the Visions. And then it was just these two dudes from the Mana team, the new guy and the old guy, and talking about another Mana game. There was nothing special here. It was just another Mana game. Like, don't get me wrong, I think Mana is a cool series. It's one of the first JRPGs to do the kind of like action-based combat instead of tactical-based, which I think is really cool. And there was some really cool aspects to this trailer. This doesn't interest me in any way, shape, or form. But what bothered me is that this was like the mystery that they were showing. We had already had a Visions of Mana announced, didn't we? Like, this game, we knew they were already developing it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So all this is we're also going to make it for Xbox. There was no date and time release. They didn't even announce it for Game Pass, I don't think. So, like, I don't know what this was. This was like filler to me. It was like secret filler. It was like, ooh, now your big surprise. 20 minutes of nothing. You know what I mean? Like 20 minutes to say this game is coming to Xbox. That's it. That's all we got concrete out of that. And again, this whole show was kind of a waste of time. That was the big thing. It was a big waste of time. There's no concrete dates. There's a lot of bullshit. And then, and that's what drives me nuts, Neil. Because if you go on IGN, it's just like, this is the best show we've ever seen. Like, this is why it hit all the right notes. What about that hit a right note? It was all talk, no show. It was a ton of developers talking to me, not a lot of game trailers, and there was no concrete dates other than the one. So I don't know. I felt like this was a complete letdown, even if you compare it to the original Developer Direct. The original Developer Direct, 3 concrete dates, 2 release windows, and a secret game released that day. This one, we got 1 concrete day, 4 release windows, and a secret game that's just announced to be played on Game Pass. That wasn't even a secret. So what was good about this? I don't understand.
Not a whole heck of a lot.
Yeah.
Microsoft continues the trend. Because, I mean, at this point, I don't think we're going to hear anything from them with any announcements of anything big until probably the quote-unquote E3 time with Keeley Summer Fuck Fest. And even still at that point, we'll get a couple things for the holiday, maybe some surprises here and there. But we already know that only one of the games is slated to hit this year. And that's it. There's room for more potentially because everybody's given the 2024 is the
they're all supposedly
window,
coming out in 2024.
We
I
all
was
know how that
really
works.
surprised we didn't see Fable there. Really surprised we didn't see Fable, especially considering how shitty the trailer was they gave us last time. I expected just another shitty trailer, but we didn't see anything. You know?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy that I'm already, you know, we're kind of already having this conversation only 21 days
Right.
into the new year, but it seems like Microsoft's already screwing up.
ramping up to do nothing. All right, well that's it. Unless you got anything else to add, we could switch to the news.
No.
All right, we'll be right back with the news, everybody.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to our last segment, and that is the news. We collect headlines that don't necessarily deserve a talking point. Maybe we don't want to spend that much time on it. Either way, we want to tell you guys about them. We want to tell each other, riff about them. Neil's got 5, I've got 3. Neil, why don't you start us off?
Alrighty. So let's start with the one that there's least for me to say, but you probably are going to have some thoughts. Apparently, Max Payne 1 and 2 are getting a full remake.
Ooh.
Yeah, full remake, and from what I understand, not only is it going to be full remake on them, but they're going to smush it together into one single game.
That makes sense. I think if you look at Max Payne 2, as comparison to Max Payne 1, I enjoyed the story of Max Payne 2 better, but Max Payne 1 was like a 20-hour game. Max Payne 2 was like a 6-hour game. So I don't think smushing them together is necessarily a bad idea. Is Remedy doing this?
Yes, Remedy is going to be.
Makes sense because you've been seeing them around like Twitter doing the rounds. Like they've had Sam Lake and all the original cast getting together and taking photos together. They've been doing like weird like voice readings of original lines and stuff. So it kind of makes sense that they're gearing up, that they're starting some hype and some conversation about it. I'm for this. This is one of the games that could deserve a remake in our modern era, especially if they do it good. And if Remedy is doing it itself, I have high hopes for it. Yeah, so I'm all right with this. I would definitely be somebody who purchases this. This would be a remaster that I'd be all aboard for.
Yeah.
My turn.
Yep.
My turn. Okay. All right. So Pal World is out. It is the #1 game everywhere right now. Pal World is the Pokemon with guns game. Although, just finished doing my review of it. You guys, well, if you're listening or watching this, it's probably out already. It's not. It's more like Grounded with Pokemon. Nonetheless, it's an interesting game. It's not a bad game, and it's not a hoax, which we really needed after Day After Tomorrow. That being said, Pocket Pair is expressing some issues with some of the things. First of all, there is absolute and total chaos when it comes to servers and whatnot, especially on Steam. But one of the biggest issues with Pal World right now is that if you're playing it on Xbox through Game Pass, it does not have dedicated servers, which is a real bummer. And just to clarify for everybody out there, what a dedicated server would be is you would set up a server and people would have access to it and they could come into it and play in your map on your world even when you're not there. Whereas they don't have that for Xbox. So what's really cool about this is if you're playing it on Steam, you can have up to 32 people in your server. You could set up your own guilds so that nobody even really has to interact with each other. Like you can come up with stories and fight each other and stuff, like all sorts of stuff like that. You can't do that on Xbox yet. However, if you play Pal World, you'll notice that there is a tab for it in the Xbox, and they're already saying they're trying to find a way to put it in the Xbox version, but for whatever reason, they don't have the server space for it right now. So I am looking very forward to the dedicated server thing eventually. That would be nice.
I think it really comes down to, because I was weirdly enough reading an article, something along these lines, before we started doing this here. From what I understand, it's actually like this game is in like the top tier of popular games right now. Like it's surpassed Baldur's Gate, everything. Like this game is absolutely massive right now,
and
I believe it is. I believe as it stands, they can't keep up because I don't think they were anticipating this much demand for this game.
What I will say is interesting to me, and I gotta give my tip of the hat to them, is I've played about 5 hours in 3 days of it, maybe a little bit more. I have not been booted. I've definitely met my game preview bugs, but I've not been booted. I haven't been told I can't log in. Nothing like that. I've gotten in every time and had no problems with it. So I really appreciate that. I will say I have not played it multiplayer. So there could be issues there. If people out there are having problems multiplayer, just know that I didn't play it that way. But, I haven't had any of the usual connectivity issues with games like that I would when they're super popular in the first couple of days,
Yeah.
Your next one, sir.
So my next one, it seems that Walmart is going to be moving away from physical game copies as well, going along the way of Best Buy. And apparently it will be starting with Starfield. Apparently beginning January 22nd, so as we're recording this tomorrow, copies of the game are going to be reduced to 3 cents and going to be blocked from point of sale. So that way they cannot be purchased in the store. Basically, that's what they do when they start junking games. This is actually coming via a leak from a memo to a Walmart employee. So, I mean, unless that is a fake fake memo, the exodus is on its way.
Nice. I mean, this is just the way, right? Like, keeping physical copies, it takes up space in the store. It takes up time. It takes up manpower. Whereas you could just, sell a code and you're good to go. I mean, this is the way of the future. We don't own games anymore, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, that's going to be one of yours, isn't it? I won't get into it then.
Yeah.
I won't get into it then. I'll just go with my next one, which also mentions Starfield. For the first time in many, 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 many years, Call of Duty has been surpassed. In 2023, it was not the number one seller. In fact, Hogwarts Legacy was. It defeated Call of Duty. And Starfield did not make it into the top 10.
Not surprised.
Not surprised at all.
Not surprised for 2 separate reasons. One, I do believe games being on Game Pass has something to do with sales numbers overall. Because I know myself, there's games, if it's going into Game Pass, like Halo Infinite, no reason to purchase it.
No,
never had any interest in purchasing it because it's on Game Pass.
No.
Anything first party like that, I have Game Pass. I'm good. I already pay for the service. Yeah. I'm not going to spend money to buy the game because I'm going to have Game Pass.
Well, and that's our future, right? Like, where it's not going to be about, a couple of years from now, it's not going to be about sales. It's going to be about download numbers on your subscription services, kind of how movies and TV is now. The thing is, though, is it is a pretty big deal when Call of Duty gets usurped, because Call of Duty is not on Game Pass. Neither was Hogwarts Legacy. So for Hogwarts Legacy to dethrone the champion for like 10 years plus, it's a pretty big deal. It's also a pretty big deal at how much Call of Duty has slipped,
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing too, is it's definitely not the juggernaut it used to be.
No, not at all. Not at all. All right, your next one.
Alrighty, my next one, still dancing around that one that we kind of alluded to before, but Microsoft has apparently canceled their long-rumored yet unannounced Halo Battle Royale game.
This is so stupid.
On top of that, apparently, They are also moving away from seasonal content for multiplayer, and they have begun work on their next mainline entry in the series.
Which was never supposed to happen.
Which was never supposed to happen.
Yep.
Well, that's the thing, is a lot of these games that they try to turn into live services, this is the way of things. They always end up doing that. They did the same thing with Street Fighter V. Street Fighter V, when it was first announced, when it was coming out, they were like, don't expect to see the standard arcade editions and super editions and stuff like that you're used to seeing with previous Street Fighter games. There's only going to be one, and it's just going to be the last one. Sure enough, we got literally both of those things proven untrue. We got the arcade edition version of the game along with other versions of Street Fighter V, and it did not turn into a permanent ever-going live service because Street Fighter 6 just came out.
Right.
And like you mentioned, like, this is the thing, is Halo Infinite, it was called Infinite because it was supposed to have the story continue on forever. They were going to do updates to the story, and the multiplayer was supposed to be supported, as just like a free-to-play, multiplayer shooter, which, I mean, sure, but they're completely getting away from that seasonal update model. They're just going to do minor tweaks and updates moving forward. Events here and there, and that's about it.
All right. So Halo Infinite's dead. It's been dying for a while. That's where this is going. That's why they're shifting away from the incremental increase. That's why there's another mainline coming, is they obviously realize they fucked up with Infinite. They're moving on. That being said, why walk away from a battle royale? I mean, you already weirdly changed the entire essence of your game to make it a games of service to try and bleed more money out of people. Why wouldn't you do a fad? And what's crazy to me is that's a fad that might actually work. I think people have been asking for a battle royale in Halo since the cows left. This is something people really want. Why not just give it to them? I tell you what, that's a big problem that Microsoft has with their Halo franchise, is they just don't give people what they want. The other thing is, we talked about this the other day about the games as service thing. Games as service is not inherently bad. It's just you have to make a game that's specifically meant for games as service. That's why Destiny works. It was made for games service. People sat down and were like, let's make this game directly for games as service. You can't just take Halo and go, it's games as service now. All right? It doesn't make sense. Mm-hmm. Or if you're gonna, sit down and be like, what does a Halo games as service game look like? Because I can think of 3 better ideas than they had. First of all, you can't make a story constantly on one Halo. That's dumb. It was stupid. Like he's on a Halo again, but it's going to be a continuing storyline. Well, you've just rooted the fact that he's not going to get off that Halo, so that's no fun. You know what I mean? A games of service for me with Halo would be a globe-tropping Spartan, and you get to make your own.
Yeah.
Boom, right there. That's a games of service I want to play. That's in the Halo universe. But nobody thinks that. They're just like, Master Chief, it's games of service now. That's a big problem. They just keep shoehorning things into this games of service model, and it just doesn't work unless it's made for that, and this is not made for that. So we're going to see another one, and they're probably going to fuck that one up too. They should take it away from 343. I've been saying that forever. But as far as the Battle Royale goes, this was the dumbest move. Give them what they want. Give them what they want. You look at Call of Duty, what's the most popular mode on there? It's the free Battle Royale. It's not the deathmatch, give people what they want. Give them the mode they want. Give them a Battle Royale. How would it hurt you at this point, Why cancel that?
Especially given the fact that they've theoretically been working on it for quite some time.
Right.
Push it out the door.
Push it out the door.
You do that with everything else.
Yeah, exactly. I don't understand why this is no, we don't want to release this.
This is the line.
This is the line?
This
shit,
is the
man. This is still before Redfall. Redfall should be the line, all right, so my last one. Really weird one, really shitty one. So it's not my cup of tea, but Like a Dragon, originally Yakuza, now Like a Dragon. They switched to the turn-based thing. And it's getting a sequel. People are highly excited about this. Infinite Wealth, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, coming out very soon here, I think, in the next couple of months.
I believe so, yes.
They have just announced their versions, their premium versions, and there is some shittiness in here that we have to talk about because they have decided to place the New Game Plus mode of this game behind a paywall of the premium edition or higher. So that's right. If you want to play the New Game Plus version of this game after you've beaten it already, you will have to pay the extra edition whatever.
So fucking stupid.
So fucking not even stupid, just dirty, underhanded, and mean. We're cutting off a feature that's just such a basic feature to a game that it doesn't make sense. And again, look, I know people out there, they're going to go out, they're going to run out and buy it. But listen, guys, if we do not say no to this kind of behavior, if we all go out and we make this game the number one selling game in February or March or whenever it's coming out, then guess what? This is going to be the norm. And every New Game Plus mode from now until Timbuktu will be locked behind a premium paywall. So, there's got to be a point where we put our foot down and say, we're not going to buy this game because you did that shit. And I don't think it's going to be this one, but everybody out there, I urge you, if you are thinking about buying this game, don't let them do this to you. I mean, that's my plea. I'm sure it will fall on deaf ears, but it is what it is.
It shall go unheeded.
I mean, I'm sure it will, but at some point we have to say, we can't do this anymore. You can't do this to us anymore, you know?
Yeah. So let's get to the one that this is the shittiest shit ever. So Ubisoft Plus is going to have a premium tier subscription. It's going to be $18 a month. And boy, howdy, interesting information here.
Yeah.
It's going to include Activision Blizzard games.
Because they have the
Very
rights.
strange. Microsoft owns those. But the whole deal with the Activision Blizzard thing going through was Ubisoft had to take over the cloud gaming,
The streaming
division.
rights. The streaming rights to Activision.
That's what it was, yes, with that. So, on top of that, to make things even worse, the Ubisoft subscription, there's two tiers. There's the this premium tier or the classic tier that comes at a lower price.
It's what the
doesn't
people are
have as
already
many.
paying.
What was that? I'm sorry?
So, it's what people are already paying.
Oh, yes.
So right now
Yeah,
you can pay it. It's what people are already paying. You're going to get the games that are in there and older games.
Well, the classic tier is priced at the normal rate and then, the higher rate for $18 a month. Because according to Philippe Tremblay,
Yeah.
he said this is to get people comfortable with not owning their games. They just said the quiet part out loud, unabashed, in broad daylight. This is sleaze beyond sleaze. You don't have to tell us. We already know this is the route that it's going.
It's already there.
It's already there, but to effectively herd us like cattle along into the slaughter, proverbially, is ridiculous. Just coming outright and saying, hey guys, just so you know, I don't know if you've realized it or not, but you don't own your shit, and in a few years, we're not even gonna be,
we're not even
sneaky
trying
about it.
Yep.
We're just gonna make it digital only. Say, hey, just so you know, at any point in time, we can discontinue this. You can't have this game anymore.
Yeah.
And what's extra crazy is, I really want to know with these games, with this. Now, granted, the whole streaming side of things is an entirely different beast, but this seems to potentially be really a problem for consoles and not so much PC, because at least with a PC, if a game is delisted or something like that, there's at least groups of individuals out there who can crack the game and still make it available in some form or fashion. If a game is delisted on Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo platforms, that is it, my guys.
Yeah,
it's done. It's gone. You're not getting it back. In some cases, you can still hold on to it if you already have it installed, which is why there are PlayStations that have PT installed on them going for like $500, $600, $700 as like collector's items. But the march towards the edge of the cliff is one thing, but somebody pushing you along and telling you, hey, jump off this fucking cliff, get out of here, what are you doing, is a little bit too overt for me.
It's very annoying. I'm going to say this. One thing you missed, not that it makes it okay, the premium of the Ubisoft Plus will give you day and date Ubisoft releases. Like, it's going to be basically yeah, so like you'll get the new releases day and date. Still not worth $18 at all in any way, shape, or form. I'm just saying. Just wanted to add in the little feature.
Yeah.
Here's my thing. Is it shitty that this guy said this? Yes. Is he a terrible piece of shit? Yes, 100%. But none of us own our games. We keep talking about this. You're talking about us marching towards a cliff. We're at the bottom of the cliff. We just don't realize our legs and our arms are already broken. Nobody owns their games. Nobody owns their games. Like, yeah, there's some cases of people like hacking and cracking games or whatever. But basically, most of the time when you delist a game, it's gone and you don't get it anymore, and it is what it is. Like, at any point in time they can put an update in, and then basically you can't play your game until you download that update, and if you download that update, it stops the game from working. Like, we're so reliant on constant streams of information from the publishers and developers of these games. We don't own these games anymore anyway. It's a facade that we spend $60 for, to think that we have these games and they're ours. Like, I can't pass my Steam library on to my kid. That's not going to happen. Those games are going to be gone. They'll be gone. Like, ownership has been gone in gaming for a long time. We're just watching people kind of come to an understanding of that.
Yeah.
That being said, this guy's a piece of shit, and he doesn't need to go out there and say shit like this. It's pretty fucked up.
Yeah, fuck him.
And again, vote with your wallets, ladies and gentlemen. You don't... I mean, I will find it really interesting that they're like, oh, this is totally worth it. And they're putting Activision games on there. Okay, well, Call of Duty just had its lowest selling game ever, so if that's your buck stops here thing, that's pretty fucking bullshit, ballsy. It's also real ballsy to make your subscription service, which literally only gives you day one releases from Ubisoft Direct, at what, almost $20 a month, whereas your Game Pass is half that. Game Pass is half that. And I get day one releases from all sorts of companies, not just Microsoft. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not singing Microsoft's praise. We all know how much I dislike them right now. But, like, it's real ballsy to price your shit 50% up market value based solely on the quality of your games, which everybody is pointing out how crappy they are. You know? I mean, when was the last time an Ubisoft game came out and set the world on fire? Hell, when was the last time an Ubisoft game came out? Jesus. Like, it's just... They just make trailers.
I mean, I will say, barring the new Prince of Persia, which is apparently excellent, outside of that, meh.
Yeah, and it did come out and it's good, but, like, was it what we wanted?
Exactly.
No? Like, again, it's another thing where it's like, well, we're just going to do our own thing. Like, I don't know. We'll see.
A whole nother Prince of Persia
game came out
before
the
remake of the one that they had been talking about, for 6 years?
Which they still swear is in development. I don't know if I buy that. So I don't know. And that was your last one?
No, I got one more.
All right, hit us.
All right, last one. Twin Galaxies has reinstated Billy Mitchell's Donkey Kong
I heard about this, yeah.
record. So we've talked about this a little bit over the years. So Billy Mitchell
It's a real up and down story, isn't it?
It's a real up and down story. He's the guy that set the world record for the Donkey Kong, the traditional Donkey Kong arcade game. However, he got the title stripped from him because there were accusations of him using a hacked board that he played and did this record on.
He was cheating. Yeah.
So basically, yes.
And cheating. Like originally, the whole thing was no one was in the room with him when he set the record, wasn't it? Like that was the whole thing. Like he did it.
I cannot remember.
In a room by himself or something. I feel like there's more controversy than just this hacked board.
There is a documentary out there. I don't know if it's still on Netflix, but I believe I watched it on Netflix initially. The King of Kong, that like went through this whole saga. But it's very interesting because this has been years that there's been a back and forth between him and Twin Galaxies, and it seems now it's over. He got the record back. He's a world record holder again. And I believe, if I remember correctly, technically it's physically impossible to get a higher score than what he got, mathematically speaking. But I can't recall 100%. It's been a hot minute since I watched that documentary.
Huh. Interesting. I don't like to watch Netflix documentaries anymore because of what they've done to YouTubers. And also, a lot of their documentaries seem to, like, skew one way or another, you know? Like, the ones that I've seen. Like, and I'm not saying I skew one way or another. It's just, with my documentary, I just want you to present the facts, and then I'll draw my own conclusion. Like, I think those are fun documentaries, and I feel like they, like, here's a documentary, and here's all the evil people. And it's like, wait, I feel like you're leaving stuff out to make us think they're the evil people. And then, like, they did all this shit where they ripped off YouTubers, like, a ton of YouTubers for their stuff. They'll just use their clips, not pay them, not anything. And then the YouTubers will get copyright claimed by Netflix for their own stuff.
Like the ultimate dick move.
Oh, it's the ultimate dick move. Like, there's a law tuber that my wife watches, Emily D. Baker, and she's cool. I've seen her. She's not bad. But she contracted a company to make her jingle, her opening jingle, right? For her show. She had a new theme song contracted. And then YouTube did this documentary about Heard and Depp, and all the law tubers covered Heard and Depp when that was going on, right? Mm. So they were using all these clips of the YouTubers. They used her theme song in one of the clips of her, and they didn't ask any of the YouTubers for any of their material. They just clipped them from YouTube, put them in their documentary. Well, now Netflix is copyright claiming her theme song. Because her theme song, yeah, it's ridiculous. Her theme song was in it. I'm like, what? It was fucking insanity. Yeah, it's absolutely insanity. Netflix does a lot of, like, really shady shit. They also screwed over an RPG company recently, which is why I won't watch that Rebel Moon at all, ever, never. And anybody out there, I'm going to say this right now, there's a bit of TTRPG movie news, but whatever. Rebel Moon on Netflix, the Zack Snyder movie. If you haven't watched it, don't watch that, boycott it. They are ripping off an independent tabletop role-playing game company. So the whole thing is, they hired a tabletop role-playing game company, a decently sized one, no Wizards of the Coast, they're a small group, to make a tabletop role-playing game based off Rebel Moon, the Zack Snyder movie. Mm-hmm. Zack Snyder went on a show when he was being interviewed and talked about how helpful they were to the process of the movie, because he had the ideas for the main thing, but he would be like, I need lore. He would call the TTRPG guys, I need some lore about this, and they would give him the lore. Movie's about to come out, Netflix cancels their contract. Yeah, cancels their contract, tells them they can't make it even though they're already almost through it, and doesn't pay them a dime even for the consulting. They're like, the lore he used in the movie came from us, not even from Zack Snyder. Zack Snyder literally admitted it on radio shows. So don't watch that movie. Netflix is trying to fuck over some independent TTRPG people in solidarity, as far as I'm concerned. So
Jesus.
Unless you've already watched it, and then whatever. But I'm just saying, if you haven't, try not to, because they're really... Netflix is some evil shit, man. I hate Netflix.
We almost watched it the other day.
Oh, did you? Yeah.
We almost watched it.
Yeah, true story.
The
You can look this up.
Godfather won out, so...
Oh, well, that's good. I kinda. I'm not a huge Godfather fan.
I'd never seen it until
It's not
this time.
It's not one I love.
Kayla fell asleep. I enjoyed it.
Hey.
For what it was.
All right, that's good. All right, well let's wrap this thing up because my voice is done.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of the show and the shameless self-promotion that comes with it. Neil, would you like to plug anything?
Well, there ain't a whole heck of a lot going on right now, but I mean, there are some things in the works, in the pipes.
Yeah.
We've been talking about what we're going to be doing for another Lasso thing where Kayla, Zach, and myself all get together and play a game while they yell at me.
He deserves it. He deserves it.
So, yeah, we're still in that kind of weird holiday hangover period of time because, you know, if you followed the channel for a while, December gets real weird with how we record everything. We just kind of blast through everything and all other projects be damned.
It does.
So there is stuff, you know, going in the works, talked about, whatnot.
Yeah, we're going to get something going. Honestly, I'd like to do one more stream with Stella and finish off Turtles with you guys. We are about halfway through. We could probably get through one more
I
stream.
thoroughly enjoyed that game.
That would be fun. But yeah, we're working on some stuff. I think we might try Pal World. Don't quote us on that though. But we're being creative at this moment in time. Plus, I'm trying to get them to play a TTRPG with us too. So there's that as well. So there's plenty of things that we'll be working on. As far as the channel goes, we are popping off. We got 416 subscribers now. Thank you to everybody who clicked that button. I know. We've got good view counts and everything. There is basically content on this channel every day between Stella's Roblox review, our first ever kid show. You got Prelude to Divorce, OMGM, this, reviews, Baldur's Gate 330 with Phil Billy, which has been a lot of fun. We're all over the place, man. There's tons of stuff. We got TTRPG content out the butt with streaming. We've also got a new show coming up later on this year. A couple of them actually. So just stay tuned, and whatever you want to watch on YouTube, we probably have something akin to it.
Some form or fashion.
So some form of it is on here, so check it out.
When you throw a whole pot of spaghetti at the wall, at least one noodle's gonna stick.
The algorithm hates us. Like does not know what to do with our channel. Like it'll be like, all right, they're gaming. Wait, they're TTRPG? All right, they're TTRPG. Are they reviews? No, they're podcasts. Oh, no, they're Let's Plays. They don't know what the fuck. They don't know where to put us. But yeah, so also, quick session. Comment below if I should do t-shirts. I got a buddy who's been doing t-shirts now for his website, and he actually says you can do them without actually having, like, on-hand merchandise. You could just set up a website with the designs, and then they could just buy them through the website. Would you guys buy some t-shirts from us with our design logos on it? That'd be great.
I remember years ago.
Oh no, I know the number. I know the number. It's still in my head. Pepperidge Farm, motherfucker.
500.
500. We're close.
500.
That's why I'm asking. We're close. We got 804. I'm sorry, 84 to go. 84 to go. If I get 84 more subscribers, I'm literally legally required to put out merchandise because I said some shit back in the day. But yeah, five. If we get 500 subscribers, I might consider doing a Patreon too. I'm putting some of this shit on there and actually trying to make some money off this because 500 of you, that's worth it. That's worth it. All right, well, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, bunch of stuff coming your way. This thing, just look out for stuff and watch whatever you want to watch. Also, please check out the review for Power World. If I gotta plug one thing, that probably just came out if you're listening to this or watching this. And I'm proud of it, even though I do it hoarsely. You guys can also reach us on Facebook at OmegaGameDH, on Twitter at OmegaGame9. You can join our Discord, links in the description below. You can influence us in all of our shows from there. As long as you guys keep watching and listen, we'll keep making them. We'll see you guys next time.
So how was the rest of your experience?
Oh yes, I am legally required to talk about the weed consumption after making you do it. It wasn't as fun for me as I think it was for you. Weirdly enough, yeah, weirdly enough. I think also part of that is Melissa did it with me. Mm-hmm. And Melissa's highness was okay with the notifications. I got it. Good God. We done now? He opened Google and it's just diddle-a-doo, diddle-a-doo, diddle-a-doo. Melissa was a different kind of high than I was expecting. A very different kind of high. So we got them. They're normal, whatever. Gummies. We did research and they're just the versatile gummies, whatever the fuck that means. So they're not sleepy gummies at all, and I feel I need to state that ahead of time before I tell the rest of this story. But so we decided to do it, and like I said, I was pretty sick, but we had slated this day aside for doing it. So we're like, and I'm like, hey, maybe it'll make me feel better, which I will say it did. So we just split a gummy. It's 15 mg gummies. We split it. So give or take, it was like 7, 8, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Melissa, I think, said 8 words for the rest of the day. Like, she just went into this zoned out, just like, didn't matter what was on TV, didn't matter where I was, didn't matter what was going on, just there. I don't think she said anything, which is bad for me. Because in case you don't know, which I'm sure you do, and in case anybody out there doesn't know, which I'm sure they do because they've been listening to me long enough, I am an insecure douchebag who constantly needs the world to be looking at me at all times. And that only got made worse because when I got high, I got the normal high. I got giggles, and then I got less plain. I thought everything was funny. And I thought everything I was saying was just the best. But nobody was laughing at my jokes because Melissa was basically awake asleep at that time. Then I ate an ungodly amount of food that basically made me sick. Like, I was actually sick. Like, I stopped feeling pain from the sickness because I immediately ate 2 bowls of cereal, then went to sheets. Like, it was crazy. But it was the first time I will say, and I said this to Melissa while I was doing it. She was like, well, how does it make you feel? And I was like, for the sickness. And I was like, honestly, I'm in pain. I know I'm in pain, but I just don't care about it. It's not that, like, I don't know it's there. It's just like, whatever. I can't breathe. Who cares? So I don't know. It was weird. I will say this, for me not doing it, for 42 years of life, basically, never having pot ever, which is not a judgy thing. I've some of my best friends during the course of my life were potheads. I just never felt the need to do it. Mm. It was the most cliched experience.
Yeah.
Like, I was expecting it to be slightly different. Like, I wasn't sure what I would get, but it was just like, yeah, I got the giggles. I thought we watched a terrible movie that we would have turned off, but we didn't because we were high, like, because we didn't care. Then we watched another terrible movie, and somebody at some point referred to jizz as or a dick as a custard maker, and that made me laugh for like straight up 45 minutes to the point where I couldn't breathe, which... Your laugh right now was the appropriate amount of laugh for somebody calling a penis a custard maker. Like, right there. Just a little chuckle. I laughed for 45 minutes straight to the point where I couldn't breathe or see. So, like, I just got the giggles, and then I got kind of mellow, and then that was that. I don't know. It was weird. I don't know. It wasn't. I don't know. And I wish I was with any. And I love my wife. I always want to be with my wife, but wish I was with anybody else who could have found it funny, because she was just fucking zoned. She was zoned out. She was in and out of sleep. She was in a good mood. She's probably gonna, because she has a real hard time sleeping at night too. Mm-hmm. So she might start using it as like sleep aids, which I thought is a great idea. I'm like, that's perfect, man. Like, take a half of one with dinner. 3 hours later, you'll be asleep. You're good to go. But yeah, I don't know. I felt weirdly alone on a giggle island.
Oh. So my favorite part about all of this, because I'm sure this is going to make it into an intro or something.
Yeah, I have to put it in there. I'm required by law because I made you put yours in. I got to put it in.
So my favorite part about all this was I'm just hanging out on the couch, nothing in particular going on, and I just get a message that says, "Hi," that's it, but not H-I-H-I-G-H, and I'm like, I turned to Kayla and I'm like, is he just letting me know? Like, is this a general announcement? To which that's what I responded with, is like, is this you announcing it? And I get the picture of you guys just straight zooted.
Yeah, I was pretty out of it. I'll try and post the picture of me like I posted the pictures of you. But yeah, I was fucking out of it. Yeah, I did. I wanted you to know for some reason in the moment. I was like, he's got to know I'm high. I don't know why.